Alright, sorry for the noise in the background, but as you can see on the screen, I have the infamous Shane Dawson on my screen. This guy seems to be going through some some pretty bad shit right now, man. And I gotta tell you, I've never watched Shane Dawson's content. I never was interested in it. Didn't really care too much for it. But now that I'm looking at a bunch of a bunch of montages of compilations of a lot of his content from years ago, I gotta say it's pretty grotesque. It's not easy to watch. The guy is obviously a dirtbag, if I'm being honest. Um, he's obviously a little twisted mentally. Like I have a pretty loose sense of humor, Like I can find things funny. Like it wasn't too long after 9/11 happened that I was laughing at jokes. I laugh at AIDS jokes a lot. I laugh at cancer jokes. I mean, I have a pretty loose sense of humor, and as long as the jokes are funny and meant with well intent, as long as it's not meant to hurt or intentionally demean anybody, I mean, I'm fine. I'm usually fine. Um, but pedophilia jokes are only funny to a certain extent. Once you start getting to the point where you start acting out different, once you get to a point where you start acting out certain things, it kind of becomes hard to stomach. Once you start trying to incorporate actual underage children in a lot of your jokes, yeah, it's hard to stomach. But my problem isn't with Shane Dawson, okay? This is the reason why I'm making this video, because I think Shane is taking his fair share of ass whoopings right now. The question I have is, when are we going to start putting a lot of the accountability on the parents? Because I'm from a place, okay? Like I live in New Jersey, and I'm used to seeing underage kids all the fucking time wandering the streets by themselves, unsupervised, no fucking parents whatsoever, no adults whatsoever. Seeing a group of maybe 10 to 13-year-old kids walking around late at night by themselves. I'm used to seeing kids uh, in very compromising situations, as far as like I don't even want to go into it. Like, let's just say that I've heard things about some of my family members and some of the things that their like some friends of the family's kids were doing to some of my family members' kids. Okay, like it's kind of weird, bro. Like we live in a really twisted, messed up time right now. But a lot of my criticism goes to the parents. Like, when are we going to start holding the parents accountable? And the reason why I ask is because when the Charlemagne the God thing happened, I'm pretty sure we all know what I'm talking about, where he was accused of getting this 13, 14-year-old girl raped or something. Like, I forgot how old she was, but she was underage. Charlemagne picked her up from her parents' house, took her to a high school graduation party, and the girl wound up getting raped. Okay, and a lot of people put blame on Charlemagne the God. I didn't. My question was, why would the parents allow their underage daughter, who was still in high school, to go to a high school party? I don't care who's there. To go, you allow her to go to a high school party. What do you think is going to happen when you have a 14-year-old girl? I don't know how the girl looked. It's been a while since I've seen pictures of her, but you allow any 14-year-old girl to go to a party where there's 17, 18-year-old boys or whatever, even 17-year-old girls, man, 18-year-old girls, man, because there were a couple of porn stars who were arrested for some underage shit. Like, like even girls, bro. Like, why would you allow your daughter to go to a party, man, with these older kids who most likely have some pretty fucking some pretty fucked up shit. Like, I'm trying not to cuss. Like, I'm trying to find a word to use to better express what I'm trying to say. But fucked up seems to be the best way to express it. You allow your daughter to go to a party with these kids who have fucked up intent. Okay? Alright? And nobody blames the parents. Nobody blames the parents. You know? Like they'll blame the parents when we talking about Jada or Dwayne Wade and how they're allowing their kids to be fucking genderless and all this other shit. We'll blame them. They're celebrities. We'll blame them. But we don't blame the motherfucking parents of the underage kids who end up on the sex island that Jerry Epstein apparently had, where he had all these underage kids getting fucking molested and all this other shit. Like where are the parents there? Like, where's the blame for the parents? How are they allowing their kids to end up on... Like, they had to be getting these kids from somewhere. Some kind of program, some school, somewhere. They're getting the kids from somewhere, right? I remember a couple years ago when I started learning about the things that was going on at Disney World. And my mom, was talking about taking my nephews and my niece to Disney World. And I told her it was a bad idea. I mean... Disney World is notorious for hiring former sex offenders to work their parks. And there was a point where a handful of kids went missing and nobody found them. Where I found out that Disney World has tracking devices inside the wristbands of these kids, And I'm like, that sounds like a horror fucking movie. Especially if I'm a parent and I'm taking my kids to a park, a massive park, where at any fucking point, one thing could lead to another and I could take my attention off my kid for a second and they could end up missing. It's a scary thought, It's a scary fucking thought. But these things happen. These things happen. This is why, I used to think it was weird to see parents with leashes on their kids, but now I understand why. Now I understand why. You can't trust everybody with your kids. And it seems like people are more interested in fucking and kids magically just popping the fuck up than actually being responsible enough to say, you know what, we're going to make sure that we protect ourselves so that way we don't have kids in a situation where we don't want kids. I can't tell you how many times I'm seeing these parents have these children that they can't take care of, they don't want, that you're just having them because they're fucking and they're not responsible enough to protect themselves. And I had a conversation with somebody this week where I said, we live in a time, like people say this is the age of information, right? We live in a time where it is aggressive mental warfare going on, where we are constantly being worn the fuck down. Okay? We are constantly being worn the fuck down. When I was a kid, homosexuality wasn't something that you just see out blatantly. This is not something that was, as pretty much rampant as it is now. Now it's like, whatever. Right? Now it seems like pedophilia is the thing that they're pushing now, where it's like you see it everywhere. And we're sitting here judging Shane Dawson for his, and trust me, he deserves every ounce, okay? But is Shane Dawson the one that's putting these kids on these fucking billboards? Is Shane Dawson the one that's putting makeup on 6-year-old girls and putting them on fucking magazines? I'm sitting at my friend's house, who's a female, and we're watching TV and we're, looking through this book she has, right? There's like a girly magazine or whatever. So we're flipping through it and we see this girl with makeup on her face and she looked to be about 7 years old. And I'm like, what the fuck? Wearing a fucking dress, a revealing dress with no straps and she had makeup on her face, and I'm like, you gotta be. What parent would sign up for this shit? Is the money worth the dignity of your child, the innocence of your child? Is that shit worth it? And this is the thing that I don't get about the cancel culture, is that all it is you're judging people based on pretty public mistakes. And humans, for the most part, are just the most flawed creatures on the planet. Most flawed creatures on the planet. But when it comes to judging other people for the mistakes they make, it's like our flaws don't exist. Our mistakes don't exist. There are people that do shit 10 times worse, which I would consider worse than what Shane Dawson is doing. Shane Dawson is just being a child, a disgusting, perverted child, but I know that it's all in satire. This dude probably isn't like that. And most of the people judging this dude most likely don't know him in real life. There are plenty of people. What about that? like I'm about to just start going down a list of really fucking retarded YouTubers and internet, celebrities. Like what about that guy Bunk or however you say his name, where he was literally belly flopping in public places like restaurants, malls. What about the TikTok shit or the Instagram stuff where they do these different fucking disgusting challenges where they lick food and put it back on the shelves, or they rip the clothes off of people they don't know? Like what about that shit, bro? Like when are we gonna start talking about that shit? Canceling that shit. Canceling these different fucking fads that tend to pop up every once in a while. What about that? There are plenty of YouTubers out here that do some pretty fucked up shit. Okay, pretty fucked up shit. Like there was this girl a few years ago. Her name was Whitney, Wisconsin, or something like that, and she was talking about how she was fucking her dogs or something like. I mean, bestiality isn't something that you see every day, and bestiality isn't something that is very popular. But she was talking about that shit. So I mean, to go at people like Jenna Marbles and Shane Dawson and a lot of other people for a lot of the material they put out when they were younger, to go after them, like that, is like, does that make you feel better about yourself? Does that make you feel like you're in the right for some reason about a bunch of people you don't fucking know? Me being a so-called black man, like I don't get bent out of shape when people say the N-word. Like, I just don't care, bro, because I will not allow somebody's use of a word and my reaction to it to give it power, man, because that's all it does. That's all it does in my mind. So I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. But when it comes to a situation like this, I just don't care about it. I mean, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is, because these things are going to keep happening. And this is why I don't get the protesting and all this other, because none of that stuff that you think is making a difference actually does anything. The only way that you can actually fix action is through action. Through action and work. I mean, it takes particular action, not fucking becoming an activist. All right, that doesn't do shit. Very rarely activism actually helps anything. A lot of times, a lot of these issues have to be worked out through a lot of mental step work, and it takes hard dedication to get this shit fixed. A lot of times, like you have to confront the problem directly, but I don't know, bro. I think we're falling short, man. I think we're falling short with this. I think Shane Dawson is taking too much blame. He should take some blame, man, but some blame needs to fall on the parents, man, because when I watch these young kids live their life, like I just got finished watching this video, right? PP Cocaine came out with a video called DDLG, and it's uncomfortable for me because the whole video is centered around a theme of a bunch of mid-20 disgusting women doing disgusting acts on camera with disgusting clothing, but they're supposed to be mimicking underage girls, mimicking children. Mimicking children. You know? Like how many cartoons are on TV, and the video ended, but how many cartoons are on TV like exploiting underage children? You know, like that's one of my issues with like Japanese. There's just like the Japanese thing, man, because it's like real shit, bro. It's like underage girls and fucking monsters. Like this. It's weird, bro. It's weird. It's weird, man. It's weird. It's weird, but it's everywhere, and that's because they're trying to get us comfortable with the idea that kids can be sex symbols. That's what they're trying to do, you know. And not everybody takes the bait. Not everybody rides with it. Shane did, you know, and we see how it's working out for him, but not everybody's like that. But I don't know, man. I wanted to do this, man, because I'm like, we need to start holding the parents accountable, man. We need to start holding the parents accountable because they're supposed to be the guardians. They're supposed to be the protectors. They're supposed to be teaching their kids. You know? I don't see much teaching. Too many times I see parents trying to be the kids' friends, trying to be their the peers. You know, they're trying to be the peers and not the parents. You know? But I don't know, bro. If I upload this, it's like 5 a.m. I've been up for like the last 4 hours. I'm not saying like I don't know what I'm talking about. Like I am expressing some deep concern when it comes to parenting in America, but I am kind of tired, so I'm kind of like, you know, just trying to force my way through this shit. But just ask yourself, if this was your child, all those kids wearing makeup and being sexualized in some way on television or magazines or whatever, if this was your child, would you allow your child to do some shit like this? If so, you know, more power to you. If not, then ask yourself, how come somebody will let their kids be put in these very compromising situations? And then think about it for a while. Try to come up with some kind of valid response or reason why parents would allow this to happen to their kids. Sorry for that. Would allow this to happen to their kids. And just think on it, man. Because sometimes, man, sometimes the things that need to be thought about the most in depth, we constantly ignore it, man. And it's not because we're doing it because we want to. It's most of the time we're not even looking at the real issue. We're looking at what people are telling us the real issue is. And Shane Dawson is not the real issue. He's just a byproduct of what the fuck is. But that's it, man. I'm done. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, man, you know, just leave them down below. But that's it. I'm done.